Welcome to We Don't Color on the Dog. We've got a new candidate running for County Commission District 4. It's Joe Vincent, one of the first rising stars of In Weekly, the very first class. Joe, thank you for coming on the show.
Thank you, Rick. Yeah, when you posted that it's been 20 years, I think I pretty much aged like Matt Damon at the end of Saving Private Ryan. That made me feel a lot older than I thought I would feel.
Yeah, it's amazing when you look at how many people have become stars over the years. And that first class was special because it's the first time we'd ever tried it. We never knew it was going to last. You never know until you start. But it is great to see all of y'all age up and out of that of being a rising star age. Joe, for our listeners who may not know who you are, who is Joe Vincent?
Well, if anyone knows me, they probably know me as the guy making these Pensacola history videos recently. Those have been getting a great response, and I'm really thrilled that people are enjoying them. As you know, I've been a local historian for a long time, founded Pensapedia, again, 20 years ago. And now that I've, after going back and getting my master's in public history, I've been active in a lot of different public history projects and collaborations about Pensacola history, and it's certainly my passion. But yeah, the reason I guess I'm talking today is yesterday I filed for the Escambia County Commissioner District 4 seat. So I'm looking forward to the campaign. This is my first foray into politics, but it's not my first time being interested in local government.
Mm-hmm.
In, I guess, 2011 or so is when I started Pensacola Digest, a website where I blogged about various different city and county issues and lots of other things, and tried to be a little bit of a citizen journalist and hold people in power to account. So this is nothing new that I'm interested in the goings on of our local governments. But I decided that this was a good time to maybe try to be one of those 5 votes, because ultimately that's what it comes down to. And so, yeah, I'm just going to give it my best shot and see what we can do.
Well, you're running as an independent. Your dad was well known as a federal judge here, Roger Vinson, who passed away. Doesn't seem that long ago, but it was. But he was one of my mentors, someone I always leaned to as sort of had a high standard to try to follow. And then you look at what you've done in the community. Pensapedia, it's still a reference for a lot of people. It still comes up in Google when I'm trying to find something out. It still pops up. And with Pensacola Digest, you were in the middle of a lot of the issues in town, covering it, giving a different perspective, which in today's world is needed probably more than it was when you started that. It seemed that getting different voices and getting deeper into issues is critical. Why run for county commission? Why not? There are a lot of other posts out there, but why county commission?
Well, it is because, so much happens in the county. There are a lot of big decisions that are coming up where the county is going to play a primary role. I'm thinking of the Bay Center. That's going to be a major thing that will determine a lot of what happens in our tourism industry. So I'm very interested in some of those decisions. Yeah, I mean, it feels like a good fit. And in our, single member districts, this is the district for which I'm eligible to run. So, I don't, I'm not going after anyone in particular in running for this, but it is, I think it's been something that's called to me. As you know, there were some recent things going on at the county that I disagreed with, that gave me a little bit of a front row seat, that, some of the decisions happening were maybe not being made in the interest of the people. And that is something where Escambia County, I think, has struggled in the past. Again, being a historian, a lot of the history of Escambia County is a story of backroom deals, of short-term extractive policies.
Mm-hmm.
So many of the environment issues that happened were because of, a lot of just seeing what people can get out of it immediately without thinking of what's going to happen in 5, 10, 30 years. And so, yeah, that's something I want to change. And so one of the things I'm hoping to do is to, just focus on open, clean government. That is very important to me. My dad, you mentioned, he was a very conservative person, but he was not a partisan person. Ultimately, he was just a person of extreme, credibility, and that's something that I, would hope to emulate. I've been nonpartisan my whole life. When I registered to vote, age 18, I was no party affiliation, and I've never changed that. My son is named after George Washington, who in his farewell address, warned about the dangers of of partisan loyalty and what could happen. And I don't think he's been proven wrong on that. So I think in local government, especially, an independent, nonpartisan approach is a really good way of operating. And that's what I hope to do.
Well, when you look at the county commission seats, there are single member districts, but I think the system, to me, I will argue that it works because you have to get support of two other commissioners to make something happen. So you have to be able to work together to do that. And that seems to be part of your background. You've worked together on a lot of projects with a wide variety of people, Joe.
Yeah, that's thank you. I agree. I've my parents grew up telling me the words from Luke, from those to whom much is given, much is expected. And so I've tried to be in public service in as many ways as I can be for as long as I can remember. And in doing that, yeah, you don't get things done if you're just going to try to go it alone. You have to have coalitions and you have to have negotiations, and that's part of it. So I fully expect that will continue to be the case on the county commission.
Oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Well, I was just, today is actually the 8th anniversary of the death of Gary Sansing. And I've been thinking a lot about Gary. He was my neighbor 2 doors down and a friend. And he and I would have a lot of conversations. I was listening to some of his old voicemails today. And, he's the namesake of the county commission's public forum. And it's because he was, there for pretty much every meeting that he could attend, and he would go back and forth. If there was a city council meeting at one time, he would go to that and then leave and come to this one. He'd come home for a little bit and then come back for the forum at the end. He was there all the time, and I know a lot of officials would probably groan as they saw him kind of walk up to the microphone, but no one denied that he loved Escambia County. He loved this community, and I think that's having an opportunity for people to give that input is important. And I want to have a campaign and hopefully to be a commissioner that Gary would be proud of, that he'd be excited to talk to.
I think the other thing, Joe, is that, because you grew up here, you're really connected to history personally. You worked with John Appleyard, so you got to listen to him typing on his typewriter, not a word processor on a computer, but listen to him, listen to his stories. You knew Leroy Boyd, you knew Gary Sansing. It gives you a richer feeling for the history because you remember the WD era. You remember a lot of the things that have gone on in the last really 30 years, since you got out from elementary school on. It has been an interesting time. And part of what I try to do is remind people of how these dots connect. And you can do that because you have been here for all of it.
Yeah, I mean, it helps, it helps to have a pretty decent memory for some of these things. But you mentioned John Appleyard. Yeah, so my first job after college was working at the Appleyard Agency. That's where I got my start in marketing. And I had no interest in history, local or otherwise, before working there. And I credit Mr. Appleyard absolutely with sparking, what has become, one of my main passions. He was so wonderful to talk to because he could just start talking about something and flow from one topic to another, and he would remember the connections between all these different things and really, give you the context to help understand it. So I absolutely credit him with that and his interest in local government. And he and I were members of the same Rotary Club that I'm still a member of and a board member of. And the interest in civics and the interest in good local government and having people that are trustworthy, I think is something that he would speak very approvingly of.
Have you set up a website yet for your campaign?
Not yet. Working on it. Yesterday was a big day. Filed my papers, started the bank account, all the fun stuff that goes into a campaign. Yeah, website will be coming soon. It'll probably be joepensacola.com. It's that'll have all the information about my campaign, how people can get involved. I'm hoping to qualify by petition. So I've got a little less than a month to get 400 and something petitions. So that's going to be a lot of time going door to door and talking to people. But I'm looking forward to that. And yeah, we'll have yard signs. We'll have all sorts of things that people can get if they're interested.
All right. Well, Joe, good luck. Send me all your information once you get it set up, and we'll get it up on the blog, and I'll attach it to this podcast. But thank you for coming on, Joe.
All right. Thank you, Rick.
Thanks for watching, and to keep up with what's going on, be sure and subscribe. Just click on the little dog to the right and click the subscribe button. You can also like this video and click on the bell, which will notify you of new content. This really helps the channel grow. We appreciate you.